Hi. So, my name is Joshua Blair, and I am here to give you guys a presentation on the privatization of the space industry. So, what do I mean when I say the privatization of the space industry? So, space up into this point is really something that's only been accessible to government agencies. Places like NASA or JAXA, which is the Japanese space agency. And it's really only in the last decade or so that we've seen companies doing things in and around space. The major players in this are SpaceX, Boeing, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic. These are names that I'm going to mention more so as we get later into the lecture. But what I mean when I say privatization of space is that these companies are going into spaces that used to be government and are overtaking them and improving them in many ways. One aspect that is my argument is that NASA has always intended for space to become private. There's a quote from their mission statement I'd like to read. To enable human expansion across the solar system and bring new knowledge and opportunities back to Earth. So, what does that mean? To me, it's very clear that they meant they're going to go into space and develop technologies that will enable them to go to space and then return those things back to Earth and let them go into private industry. And examples of that are cell phone cameras. So NASA needed things to be able to take pictures that was light and small. That technology became cell phone cameras because private industry thought it would be cool to be able to take pictures with you and your friends. Another aspect is CAT scans, and imaging technology is something that has really come a long way because of NASA. Something that we don't really think of as attributed to NASA is athletic shoes, but that technology started with NASA. Another thing is wireless headphones. They created these communication, and then private industry was like, hey, it'd be really cool to be able to listen to music without a wire plugged into your phone. And then we got headphones. But an industry that has been particularly impacted by this is medical industry. So imaging technologies like the MRI and the CAT scan came directly from NASA, and in many ways are the same technology that NASA developed themselves, but they overturned it to private industry and they blew up in a way that they never would have imagined before. NASA wasn't thinking about being able to look at you and diagnose what's wrong with you without ever going onto the inside when they developed these, but that's what it became. Same thing with dental wires. So nithanol, which is the material that is made, that dental wire is made from, was developed by NASA. And something more impactful to our everyday lives would be infrared thermometers. It's a lot more convenient to be able to scan somebody's head as they're walking in rather than have to stick a thermometer in their mouth and measure it that way, because I don't know about you, but I don't know where that thermometer's been, and I'm a lot more comfortable with a quick scan than I am that. As I started looking into these companies, I found a pretty interesting aspect of it. 3 out of the 4 major companies are headed up by these huge personalities. I mean, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, as of the 24th of November, are the 2 richest men in the world. And they're pretty public, and their personalities are pretty large. And, you know, arguably, Richard Branson has a similar condition to that. Very large personality, if not as well known to the rest of the population. But SpaceX and Boeing are in direct competition with one another. So they go head to head seeking contracts. I call them contract hogs, because what they're doing is NASA is paying them to get things up to the ISS, for example. And they go back and forth for these contracts, fighting to receive the opportunity to deliver those packages for NASA. and they receive money for that. Now, one of the things that they've both been fighting for a long time is sending people to space, because NASA will pay a lot more to send a man safely to space than they will cargo, because obviously human lives are a lot more valuable than that, and they're willing to pay more to protect that. On the flip side, private space travel, the idea of touring in space, going on vacation there, that's something that Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic are gnawing at. They're both fighting each other for the opportunity to send you and me to space. They have different ways of doing this, but that's their goal. They want to put you into space in something called low orbit, which basically just means that eventually you're going to have to come back down. But both of these experiences are something that you're not going to be able to get on the entirety of the planet Earth. And that's what they want to give to you in exchange for cash, obviously, and quite expensive. At this point, the average person is not going to be able to afford it. Virgin Galactic is currently selling their tickets between $200,000 and $250,000 for an experience that lasts a few hours, and that's just not something that can be affordable to you and me. But I want to transition into reasons that private industry would go to space. Why should they go there, right? Other than it just being cool. Well, asteroid mining, I think, is the most blatant example of it. NASA recently took a huge step in this direction. They landed the first... They sent their mission. They took a drone, dropped it onto an asteroid. It mined, picked up material, and then hopped off. And it did this all in about a half a second. So not that long, and nothing like we're talking about that would be able to repay the cost of that mission. But it's an important first step, because we've retrieved something from the surface of a moving asteroid now. And it gives companies a way to be like, hey, we're going to do that. Look, they already did it. And that's what NASA is about, is developing those new technologies for the first time. The value of space mining is the real reason that private industry is going to go there one day. So the Earth is valued about $5 quadrillion. Now, to me, that number is just over my head. It's too big. I can't quantify that. But I can show you some things in contrast to that. So the smallest and the least valuable asteroid on the map in front of you is worth $1.2 quadrillion. Quadrillion dollars. Earth is valued at less than 0.5% of the smallest asteroid on that map. The entirety of Earth, all the people on it, all the technologies that we've ever developed. That's how much money is out there waiting for people to pick up. NASA values that there's about $700 quintillion floating around in our solar system. That's enough to give every single person on Earth $100 billion. That would make the poorest man on Earth today the third richest man in the world. And I think that that's the main reason for people to send private industry to space, because there's a reason for them to do it in asteroid mining, and overall it's just pretty cool. But I want to show an example of where the space industry is at now, because it's not as if it's something that's easily going into. So Jeff Bezos once said, "The only way I can see to deploy this much financial resource is by converting my Amazon winnings into space travel." That's basically it. Because when you're talking about the kind of money that these people have, the only way for them to spend it is to throw it away throw it towards something that is as valuable as the space industry. Because right now, it's not reasonable. There's just too much money to set things up. And that's why NASA is developing the technology that it does, to make it cheaper for a private industry to go to space.